Make yourself comfortable wherever you're sitting by crossing your hands, fingers into fingers, by crossing your legs, gently closing your eyes and becoming one with your breath. Your natural, normal, soft, tender, tranquil breath, friends. Whenever you take a breath in, have a sense of gratitude to your own breath, the life force that is keeping you alive. Let nothing distract you. Let no thought distract you. Whenever you have a thought, say to the thought that it is not the time for you, and I'll come back to you later. Then become aware of your breath. Only in silence we will find all the answers that we are seeking. Just witness whatever is happening inside you, friends. Do not get carried away by any thought. Let it come and let it go. Watch it as a passing cloud. Just you and your breath, friends. Great Master Paramahamsa Yogananda had said that meditation is like hugging our own selves. Let us forget about everything, who we are, what we are, where are we living. Let us forget about all these things and just surrender to our own self. Let us know ourselves. Just observe your breath, friends. Your breath will show you the path. Last 2 minutes, friends. Bring back your awareness to your physical body and to your surroundings. In this state of calmness, let us express our gratitude to each and every person that we have met, our family, friends, colleagues, our neighbors, each and every situation that we have crossed. Let us be grateful for that. Each problem, each joyful moment is teaching us something. So let us be grateful for that as well. Let us be grateful for the food that we are eating, for the nature, for the Mother Earth, for our breath. Now, last 10 seconds, friends. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Slowly place your both of your hands on your eyes for a few seconds. And whenever you're ready, you may remove your hands and open your eyes. So, welcome back, friends. I hope you all had a peaceful meditation. If there is anything that you would like to share, you can unmute yourself and you can share, friends.
Hi, Madhu.
Hi, Meena.
It's very, very beautiful. The music plays a major role actually in meditation, isn't it? Very, very deeply connected. Very
Sure.
nice.
Yeah. Thanks to Patriji. It's
Oh,
Patriji.
it's Patrija's flute. Okay, thank you.
It's a very long recorded. We have when he came to Egypt, I think we have recorded this, I
Oh,
guess.
okay, okay. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you, Meena. Yes, friends. Anybody else? Right. So today, please be patient. The topic which I'm going to share, which is Osho's journey. It might take some time, but it is very interesting to know what happened in his life and how his childhood was and how he became Osho. So it might take some time. So let us learn from this wonderful master what he's sharing, what are his experiences. All right. So the topic's name is I waited 700 years for the right moment. I have never been spiritual in a sense that you understand the word. I have never gone to the temples or the churches or read scriptures or followed certain practices to find truth or worshipped God or prayed to God. That has not been my way at all. So, Certainly, you can say that I was not doing anything spiritual, but to me, spirituality has a totally different connotation. It needs an honest individuality. It does not allow any kind of dependence. It creates a freedom for itself, whatever the cost. Spiritual, to me, simply means finding oneself. I never allowed anybody to do this work on my behalf. Listen to this point, friends. I never allowed anybody to do this work on my behalf because nobody can do this work on your behalf. You have to do it yourself. First, one has to choose one's birth. That's almost impossible. Unless you have died in a state of meditation, you cannot choose your birth. The choice only happens for the meditator. He dies consciously, hence earns the right to be born consciously. I died consciously. Not in fact died, but was killed. I would have died 3 days later, but they could not wait, not even for 3 days. People are in such hurry. You will be surprised to know that the man who killed me is now my sannyasin. I waited 700 years for the right moment, and I thank existence that I found it. 700 years are nothing compared to the millions and millions of years ahead. Only 700 years. Yes, I'm saying only. And I chose a very poor couple, but a very intimate one. I am reminded of the small village where I was born. Why existence should have chosen that small village in the first place is unexplainable. It is as it should be. The village was beautiful. I have traveled far and wide, but I have never came across that same beauty. One never comes again to the same. Things come and go, but it is never the same. I can see that still small village, just a few huts near a pond and a few tall trees where I used to play. There was no school in the village. That is of great importance because I remained uneducated for almost 9 years, and those are the most formative years. My own mother was married when she was 7 years old. My father was not more than 10 years old, and he had no understanding of what was happening. I used to ask him, what was the most significant thing that you enjoyed in your wedding? He said, riding on the horse. Naturally, for the first time, he was dressed like a king, with a knife hanging by his side, and he was sitting on the horse, and everybody was walking around him. He enjoyed it tremendously. That was the thing he enjoyed most about his wedding. I was brought up by my maternal grandfather and grandmother. Those two old people were alone and they wanted a child who would be the joy of their last days. So my father and mother agreed. I was their eldest child, the firstborn. They sent me. I don't remember any relationship with my father's family in the early years of my childhood. I spent my earliest years with two old men, my grandfather and his old servant, who was really a beautiful man, and my old grandmother. In those first early years, I was so lonely that I started enjoying it. And it is really a joy. So it was not a curse to me, it proved a blessing. I started enjoying it, and I started feeling self sufficient. I was not dependent on anybody. So for 7 years continuously, nobody tried to corrupt my innocence. There was nobody. Those three old people who lived in the house, the servant, and my grandparents were all protective in every possible way that nobody should disturb me. So it was just a coincidence that for 7 years I remained undisturbed. No one to nag me, to prepare me for the world of business, politics, diplomacy. My grandparents were more interested in leaving me as natural as possible, particularly my grandmother. She is one of the causes. These small things affect all your life patterns. She is one of the causes of my respect for the whole of womanhood. She was a simple woman, uneducated, but immensely sensitive. She made it clear to my grandfather and the servant, we all have lived a certain kind of life which has not led us anywhere. We are as empty as ever, and now Death is coming close, she insisted. Let this child be uninfluenced by us. What influence can we have? We can only make him like us, and we are nothing. Give him an opportunity to be himself. I am tremendously grateful to that old woman. My grandfather, my mother's father, was a generous man. He was poor, but rich in his generosity. He gave to each and every one whatsoever he had. I learned the art of giving from him. I never saw him say no to any beggar or anybody. I called my mother's father Nana. That's the way the mother's father is called in India. The mother's mother is called Nani. My Nana died when he was not more than 50. My grandmother lived till 80. She was fully healthy. Even then, nobody thought she was going to die. I promised her one thing, that when she died, I would come. And that was my last visit to the family. She died in 1970. I had to fulfill my promise. For my first years, I knew my Nani as my mother. Those are the years when one grows. My own mother came after that. I was already grown up, already made in certain style, and my grandmother helped me immensely. As far back as I can remember, I loved only one game, uh, to argue, to argue about everything. So very few grown up people could even stand me, understanding what was out of the question. I never was interested in going to school. That was the worst place. I was forced finally to go, but I resisted as much as I could because there were only children who were not interested in things I was interested in, and I was not interested in things they all were interested in. So I was an outsider. My interest has remained the same, to know what is the ultimate truth, what is the meaning of life, why I am here and not anyone else. And I was determined that unless I find the answer, I am not going to rest. And I am not going to let anybody around me rest either. Now, my, my grandfather's death was my first encounter with death. Yes, an encounter and something more. Not just an encounter, otherwise I would have missed the real meaning of it. I saw the death and something more, that was not dying, that was floating above it, escaping from the body, the elements. That encounter determined my whole course of life. It gave me a direction, or a rather, a dimension that was not known to me before. Death is not the end, but only the culmination of one's whole life, a climax. It is not that you are finished, but you are transported to another body. That is one of the lessons, the greatest lesson I learned from my grandfather's death. When a man dies in Tibet, they repeat a certain mantra. That mantra is called Bardo. The mantra says to him, relax, be silent, go to your center, just be there. Don't leave it whatsoever happens to the body. Just be a witness. Let it happen. Don't interfere. I repeated the Bardo Todal for my dying grandfather without even knowing what I was doing. It was strange. Not only that I repeated it, but also that he became utterly silent listening to it. My first experience of death was not a simple encounter. It was complex in many ways. The man I had loved was dying. I had known him as my father. He had raised me with absolute freedom, no inhibitions, no suppressions, and no commandments. Love with freedom. If you have it, you are a king or a queen. That is the real kingdom of God. Love with freedom. Love gives you the roots into the earth, and freedom gives you the wings. Love gives you the roots into the earth, and freedom gives you the wings. My grandfather gave me both. He gave his love to me more than he ever had given to either my mother or even my grandmother, and he gave me freedom, which is the greatest gift. As he was dying, he gave me his ring, and with a tear in his eye told me, I don't have anything else to give you. That was my first encounter with death. and it was a beautiful encounter. The first 7 years are the most important in life. Never again will you have that much opportunity. Those 7 years decide your 70 years. All the foundation stones are laid in those 7 years. So, by a strange coincidence, I was saved from my parents. And by the time I reached them, I was almost on my own. I was already flying. I knew I had wings. I knew that I didn't need anybody's help to make me fly. I knew that the whole sky is mine. And after my Nana's death, my Nani never went back to the village. She was so heartbroken. She stayed in my father's town, but she was a very independent woman. She did not like the big joint family. My father's brothers, their wives, their children, it was a huge caravan. I said to my father, no. That was my first word before entering primary school. I said to my father, no, I don't want to enter this gate. I said, look at this school. You call it a school? Look at this gate. And you are here to force me to enter for at least 4 years? My father said, I was afraid. I was always afraid. And we were standing at the gate on the outside of course because I had not yet allowed him to take me in. He went on. I was always afraid that your grandfather, and particularly this woman, your grandmother, were going to spoil you. The first thing my own father taught me, and the only thing that he ever taught me, was a love for the small river that flows by the side of my town. He taught me just this, swimming in the river. That's all that he ever taught me. But I'm tremendously grateful to him because that brought so many changes in my life. Exactly like Siddhartha, I fell in love with the river. It was my daily routine to be with the river for at least 5 to 8 hours. From 3 o'clock in the morning, I would be with the river. The sky would be full of stars, and the stars reflecting in the water. And it is a beautiful river. Its water is so sweet that people have named it Shakkar. Shakkar means sugar. It is a beautiful phenomenon. I can understand Herman Hesse's Siddhartha and his experience with the river. It happened with me. So much transpired because slowly, slowly, the whole existence became a river to me. It lost its solidity. It became fluid, liquid. Now, my grandfather wanted the greatest astrologers in India to make my birth chart. He made the long journey to Varanasi and saw the famous men. Looking at the notes and dates my grandfather had brought, the greatest astrologer of them all said, I'm sorry, I can only make this birth chart after 7 years. If the child survives, then I'll make his chart without any charge. But I don't think he will survive. If he does, it will be a miracle because then there is a possibility for him to become a Buddha. When I was 7, an astrologer came to my grandfather's village searching for me. So, you are still alive. I have made your birth chart. His real name is not known, nor his real age, but he was called Magga Baba. Magga Baba was certainly one of the most remarkable men that many ever that may ever have lived on this planet. He was really one of the chosen ones. You can count him with Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu. I have had the fortune to be loved by many strange people. Magga Baba is the first on my list. I visited him almost every night without fail, under his neem tree. I was the only person to whom he used to speak, but only in privacy, when nobody else was present. I would go to him deep in the night, perhaps 2 o'clock in the morning. Magga Baba never said anything about his own life, but he said many things about life. He was the first man who told me life is more than what it appears to be. Don't judge by its appearances, but go deep down into the valleys where the roots of life are. I repeat, life is more than what it appears to be. Don't judge by its appearances, but go deep down into the valleys where the roots of life are. He would suddenly speak, and suddenly he would be silent. He helped me tremendously, although he never gave any directions except by his very being. Just by his very presence, he triggered unknown forces in me, unknown to me. I'm most grateful to this man, Magga Baba, and the greatest blessing of all was that I, a small child, was the only one to whom he used to speak. The day he left for the Himalayas was the first time he called me. Magga Baba said, I'm leaving, and there is nobody whom I could call to say goodbye to you. You are the only one. He hugged me, kissed my forehead, said goodbye, and went away, just like that. That night, before he disappeared, he told me, I may not be able to see you blossom to a flower, but my blessings will be with you. It may not be possible for me to return. I'm going to the Himalayas. Now, Pagal Baba. Pagal Baba was one of those remarkable men whom I am going to talk about. He was of the same category as Magga Baba. He was known just as Pagal Baba. Pagal means mad. He came like a wind, always suddenly, and then disappeared as suddenly as he had come. But Pagal Baba used to hit for no reason at all. Somebody may have been just sitting silently by his side, and he would give the person a good slap. The person had not done anything. He had not even said anything. Sometimes people would object that it was unjust and say to Pagal Baba, Baba, why did you hit me? He would laugh and say, You know, I am Pagal, a madman. The first awakened man who recognized me was Magga Baba, the second was Pagal Baba, and the third was more strange than even I could have imagined. The man was called Masta Baba. Masta Baba was superb, just superb, and just the way I like a man to be. He was exactly as if made for me. We became friends even before Pagal Baba introduced us. Masto looked like a god who had come to earth. I loved him without any reason, of course, because love cannot have any reason. I still love him. I don't know whether he is alive or not, because on 22nd March 1953 he disappeared. He just told me he was going to the Himalayas. He said, My responsibility is fulfilled as far as I had promised Pagal Baba. Now you are what you potentially were. Now I am no longer needed. When I passed my matriculation exams, my whole family was in a great turmoil because they all wanted something. Somebody wanted me to be a doctor, somebody wanted me to be a scientist, somebody wanted me to be an engineer. Because in India, these are respectable jobs, paying jobs. You become rich, you become well known, you are honored. But I said, I'm going to study philosophy. So they said, You will suffer your whole life. Think it over. I said, I never think, you know that. I simply see. And there is no question of choice. I know what I am going to study. It is not a question of weighing which job will be more profitable. Even if I become a beggar, I am going to study philosophy. After receiving my BA, I left Jabalpur because of one of the professors in Sagar University, SS Roy, was persistently asking me, writing me, phoning me to say, after your BA, you join this university for your post graduation. When on the first day I entered the university philosophy class, I met Dr. Saxena for the first time. Only for a few professors did I have really great love and respect. These two were my most loved professors, Dr. S.K. Saxena and Dr. S.S. Roy, and for the simple reason that they never treated me like a student. When I entered Dr. Saxena's class the first day with my wooden sandals, he looked a little puzzled. He looked at my sandals and asked me, Why are you using wooden sandals? They make so much noise. I said, Just to keep my consciousness alert. He said, Consciousness? Are you trying to keep your consciousness alert in other ways too? I said, 24 hours a day, I am trying to do that in every possible way. Walking, sitting, eating, even sleeping. And you may believe it or you may not. But just lately, I have succeeded to be aware and alert even in my sleep. I enjoyed my student life immensely, whether people were against me, for me, indifferent, loved me. All those experiences were beautiful. All that helped me when I myself became a teacher because I could see the student's viewpoint simultaneously when I was presenting mine. My students certainly loved me because nobody else would give them so much freedom. Nobody else would give them so much respect. Nobody else would give them so much love. Nobody else would help them to sharpen their intelligence. Every teacher was concerned about his salary. I myself never went to collect a salary. I would just give my authority to a student and say, whenever the first day of the month comes, you collect the salary and you can bring it to me. And if you need any part of it, you can keep it. When I became a teacher in the university, the first thing I did, because as I entered the class, I saw the girls sitting in one corner, 4 or 5 rows just empty in front of me, and the boys sitting in the other corner. I said, who am I going to teach? These tables and chairs? And what kind of nonsense is this? Who told you to sit like this? Just get mixed together and come in front of me. I don't want you to sit there frozen, shrunken. That is not going to happen in my class. Enjoy being together. Just think of me, wandering in India for years and in return getting stones, shoes, and knives thrown at me. I suffered for those years as much, perhaps more, than Jesus suffered on the cross. To be on the cross is a question only of a few hours. To be assassinated is even quicker, but to be a wandering master in India is no joke. I was reading strange books, strange scriptures from all over the world, yet I was only a watcher, because as far as I was concerned, I had come home. I had nothing to learn from all that reading. That reading was for a different purpose, and the purpose was to make my message universal, to make it free from local limitations, and I'm happy that I have succeeded in it completely. Because people love me, they have called me a master of masters. It is out of their love. As far as I am concerned, I simply think of myself as just an ordinary human being who was stubborn enough to remain independent, resisted all conditioning, never belonged to any religion, never belonged to any political party, never belonged to any organization, never belonged to any nation, any race. I have tried in every possible way just to be myself, without any adjective, and that has given me so much integrity, individuality, authenticity, and the tremendous blissfulness of being fulfilled. The awakened man understands humanity so deeply. By understanding himself, he has understood the miserable state of all human beings. For 35 years, I have been continually speaking for no purpose. With this much speaking, I could have become a president, prime minister. There was no problem in it. With so much speaking, I could have done anything. What have I gained? But I was not out for gain in the first place. I enjoyed. This was my painting. This was my song. This was my poetry. Just those moments when I'm speaking and I feel the communion happening, those moments when I see your eyes flare up, when I see that you have understood the point, they give me such tremendous joy that I cannot think anything can be added to it. So, this is from the book Glimpses of a Golden Childhood and also Autobiography of a Spiritually Incorrect Mystic. Isn't that interesting, friends?
Wow,
It-
wonderful, wonderful.
yes,
Amazing.
Balagaru. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to read his complete book. I have these two books with me. I'm waiting to complete them. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes, yes. I mean, when you
Because first
understand,
came to
yes.
this country in 80s,
Mhm.
that was the time that was, a lot of things were going against him.
Mm, mm,
And he left this country and he went to India.
yeah. Mm,
Always, we had this negative feeling about him when we heard all that news.
Yeah.
But later, after coming to pyramid meditation, everything has changed. You know how great he was after reading his book, some of his couple of
Right.
books. It's amazing
Yes. Very
how
true.
people, understand, the reality. When somebody says this is real, they never accept first, when especially when they're alive.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. To understand Osho is very difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a mystic. I mean, like, he's when we read about his childhood, when we read about his how his school life or the university college life had went, like when you read it and when you understand it, when you get his point, then you start to enjoy your life. So you will not limit yourself with certain ideas or certain, like patterns. You break your patterns. This is what.
So the see in until at least 10 years ago, people were having very stubborn ideas, like whatever they acquire from parents, grandparents,
Mm,
and they hold on to it, and they
mm,
think that is the, so they never accepted beyond that.
yeah.
See, my son, he took a course, say, in the college, Swamis and mystics, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. They taught him, in that course, different. Even Osho also he learned,
Mm,
till Sachi Sai Baba,
mm-hmm.
from Vivekananda.
Mm-hmm.
So one day when I was discussing with him,
Mm-hmm.
still people even in this country, they never think in a right way, some of them,
Mm, yeah.
the way he was taught,
Mm,
uh, because he in those years, there was a movement, like people still they think in a negative way.
yeah. Yeah. Lately, I have heard Patriji saying this. Like his two of the most favorite people in the world is like one is Osho and the other one is Lobsang Rampa.
Yeah.
So that's what he mentioned. Patriji said, "Who said Osho is a sex guru? Why do you tag him with that? Like he's much more than that. Like to understand Osho is very difficult." He said, like you have to completely, like what do you say? Like we cannot judge anybody.
Yeah.
So don't come to a conclusion that he is that. So he was mentioning that.
Yeah, I heard about Osho more about this woman, uh, um, Telugu woman. She follows. She's a devotee of him, and she talks about a lot about. I
Mm-hmm.
heard from her a lot on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shastri or some. He interviewed her.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
His teaching, and
True.
yeah, it's very, see, like Jiddu Krishnamurti and Osho.
That's true.
They are, unless you have certain knowledge, it's very difficult to understand them.
Very true. Very true. Completely true. These are
Wonderful.
the these are the jewels. And Osho mentioned one more point. He said that, never compare to enlightened people. Like an enlightened person is like very different, because I was thinking earlier that like there are so many masters, and why do they get angry? And like an enlightened person should be always calmer or peaceful. But when I read this quote of his, when I read his sentence, like then I understood that yes, we should not compare two enlightened people. They're completely different. They have their own style. They have their own way of approach to the people. So yeah,
That is
it
true.
again gave the clarity.
Especially in the beginning of the book, you mentioned that he always independent. He was independent and never
Mm,
dependent
yeah.
on any, spiritual.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
because in religion, in Hindu religion, when we go to temple, we completely depend that on the priest. Always, you have this culture of depending on others. That is how, we were brought up.
Yeah.
But it is true completely, like always same thing, but Patriji says, be independent.
We have to do our homework.
Yeah.
Nobody should do our homework. Then where will we learn if somebody else doing our homework?
Yeah, that's true.
If not in this life, we will do it in some other life.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you, Balagaru, for sharing.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yes, Madalaji, you want to share something?
Yeah, I also, when I was, young, I guess in the 70s and 80s, I was still young that time. And I do remember, the Rajneesh movement. But I just think of it this way. None of us are perfect, mistakes that are made. I guess, we all feel judged at some point or another. But I feel like this person who we don't know what happened. None of us were there. None of us, this is all from news and hearsay. And maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen. Who knows? But they always say, what's in a name? I believe our name is very important to us. Changed his name to Osho, and then the energy. We don't feel, unless we mention Rajneesh, like I'm mentioning, and I didn't want to mention that that energy is gone. And he is now Osho. This energy is remembered. And and he actually, I have to say, he's also one of my favorites. And another great master, unrelated, my first I shared with our meditation group is Krishnamurti.
Jita Krishnamurti.
He was my first book. He was like the first person in the West that introduced meditation. He didn't want accolades. He didn't want, recognition. He didn't want awards. He just wanted people to know about meditation and the benefits of meditation. And I know people misunderstood him also, but I think these two were amazing human beings. That's just my opinion from
very true.
Growing up with that. They taught us different things. One is no judgments, forgiveness.
Yeah.
And one is we're here to, I don't know if titles and accolades and all that is important. One taught that one. So I just wanted to share. I know I when I heard Bala mention, I too heard all those things, growing up. But when we hear Osho, I only think positive energy now.
True. True.
I don't think and we don't know, judgment, I don't know.
Yeah.
We can, but forgiveness we need. That's all I want.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mridulaji. This reminds me of again a few lines which is said by Osho. He said, "A wise man is always hated by the world. Is bound to be hated by the world. His presence is a disturbance to those who are fast asleep and snoring, because he goes on shouting, 'Wake up!' So I think all these wonderful masters like Osho, Jita Krishnamurti, and many other masters, they're waking everybody. So, and many people, they don't like it. So they oppose their teachings or their ideas. But good men love them. That's the one who understands them, the one who resonate with them. They will love them, and they implement. That's how we all become Buddha, we all become Osho, we all become Jiddu Krishnamurti. It's not just that we read them and we just treat them as an idol, but we have to really implement what they are sharing to the world. That is when we become one like them. Yeah.
I think I agree, Madhu, but I think that we have to learn their teachings. That's all.
Yeah.
And we have to learn from their life experience. And I think the persons who are awoken in their consciousness, they have the understanding. The rest will not until they awaken themselves.
Yeah, it takes time for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we have eternal time. So, and as Osho was telling, Osho Rajneesh was telling that he waited 700 years to be born again. So he was waiting for that right moment. And yeah, see, like there is so much time. There is millions and millions and millions of years. So we will take birth, we will learn, we will not learn, we will come back, we will. So it goes on until and until we learn all the lessons, then the life cycle will not end.
And we
Yeah.
all have our own timing.
Yeah, we all have our own
One
timings.
person's timing is not the same as another person's timing.
Exactly.
We all
Exactly.
wake at different times.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very true. Wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes. So, anybody else, friends?
Yeah, to add a bit on my experiences with Osho, my first book I read of his was the Book of Man, and I have noted how many changes just reading one book. Uh, I have went across once I finished that book. So many changes within. I cannot point them out, but I did notice that I was a different person. So his energy is there. I think everything comes on time. And this article that you read, Madhu, today, I have read it earlier, and then I heard others reading, and probably this is my third or the fourth time. Every time I hear, I look at things happening, just like a movie, and I see this young kid of 7 years old, the freedom he had, or the freedom he was given, and the way he put that the first 7 years is so very important in everyone's life. Imagining a kid of 7 years going to a river in the night and swimming by himself, or going to some babas whom they're basically not approachable babas. He's just walking by himself at 2 o'clock in the morning and just spending time. It's really just looking at this aspect of life, for me, teaches a lot to how to tackle with kids as a parent or as a person in the society. So to give that freedom, to just let them explore themselves, what life it is for them, because no one is a kid. We just think they are kids, but basically you see a freedom that is given in that way, how it transforms completely the next 70 years. It's really beautiful. I keep learning every time I hear these episodes. It's really beautiful, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. Yeah. So, friends, I think we can call it for the day, and we will all see each other again tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, that means 6 a.m. Germany time, which is like 10:30 a.m. India time. We have our wonderful friend Lakshmi from Norway. She will be guiding us into a meditation. And in the evening at this time, we will be having Master Yana. She's coming back to us for her with her guided meditations and beautiful topics. Do join us and let us enjoy more. And in the coming weeks, in the coming days, we will be having Master Sharu and Master Ram for 1 hour guided meditations, and Master Nilima. So they will be coming up and they'll be sharing their topics. So please do join and keep coming, and also please, if you are interested to guide meditations, please let us know. We'll be happy to be guided by you. So till we see each other tomorrow, friends, have a lovely day and a lovely night, and see you all tomorrow. Namaste.
Thanks, Madhu.
Thank you, Shruti.